everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you all so much for joining us with another I'm Bougie Girl podcast. My name is Miranda, and I am the host and creator of the I'm Bougie Girl movement. Thank you all so much for being a part and joining us. Share this out. I want to give you a few minutes to share this out because we have an amazing guest with us on the Bougie Girl podcast on tonight. This is our segment called Evening with the King. So we want to gain a male's perspective. We want to gain the perspective of the men, in our lives, the men that we are surrounded by, because we want to hear their hearts. We want to know what they're thinking. We want to know what's going on. Hello, everybody. Say hi to me as you enter into the room. Tell me where you're watching from. I'm super excited to have you all. Hello, Evelyn. Thank you all so much for joining. I really appreciate you all. Again, share this out. Tag someone. Good evening, Joyce. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to share this out and share it with your family, your friends. Bring your young men in the room, your husbands, your uncles, your cousins. We want to make sure that everyone is hearing this amazing conversation because, again, this is our segment called Evening with the King. And I want you all to be able to hear the heart of the man that we have with us by the name of Alan Smith. Thank you so much, Simone. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much. And so let me tell you all a little bit about our guest on this evening. Alan Smith was born in New York, raised in New Orleans, but now living in Houston, Texas since 2015. He is a proud husband, father, and grandfather. He's a truck driver by profession and is what you call a seeker and lifelong learner. Alan has a heart and passion to help men become better men, especially husbands. He aspires to write a book to help men begin their journey to becoming the men husbands that Yah created him to be. The book will be entitled Husbands of Integrity. Alan is called to edify those bound by generational curses, family dysfunction, spirits of depression, and inadequacy. So Bougie Girl Squad, you all help me to welcome on tonight my guest for Evening with the King, Alan Smith. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello. How are you doing? How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for accepting the invitation. I'm so grateful that you're here.
And I'm grateful to be here. Thanks for the invite.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So how has everything been going with you? How's your day been going? How's it going out there in Houston?
It's beautiful out here in Houston. We had a little rain today, but for the most part, it's been a great day. I actually had surgery not too long ago on the leg, and I actually was able to get out and do some things, and actually had lunch with the wife today.
Oh, yay. That's always fun. That's always fun. So that's
Yes.
so let's just I want to ask you, what are you grateful for right now? We're in 2021, we've survived a pandemic. What are you grateful for?
Exactly that. Being here, being able to, and being allowed another opportunity.
Right.
I think we just take for granted just the
Right.
basic things that we have in life, like just being able to get up, like
Right.
with my surgery, just to be able to get up and walk and move around freely. You don't really think about it until you don't have it anymore. So I'm just
Right.
thankful to be here, in full, health with body and mind. So
Amen.
I'm just really thankful for that.
Right. Is there a scripture that you hold on to, during these times, like you said, is there a scripture that you enjoy, that you memorize, or that you use often that just helps you to stay encouraged and uplifted?
Well, there's several scriptures I like, but and as much as I like this scripture, I can't quote it, and my phone's dead right now. But
Yeah.
it's Romans 8:28. I love it, because basically, it's just saying we can do all things in Christ, and
Right.
I'm really, I believe that,
Right.
that is something that I live by, um, and it's something that people need to know that it's not all about us. Something is greater. Something is greater than
Right.
ourselves, And
Right.
something else that from pandemic, and we probably I'll speak on it later, but Isaiah 43:19 is very like 2020 really, it
Right.
really uh, manifests itself. That scripture really
Right.
manifests itself, because God is definitely doing a new thing.
He
He's
is.
definitely doing a new thing right now.
And that's so awesome. And we're so grateful that God is doing a new thing. And like you said, we
Yeah.
made it through the pandemic. We're still here. So tell us a little bit about the t-shirt that you have on. It says push through. That is such an awesome t-shirt. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes. One of my brothers, uh, Pastor Watson and his lovely wife TJ, they have a movement going right now. It's called Push Through, and I just saw it. They was advertising on Facebook, and I just wanted to, give them a shout out, and also I wanted to, to help them out and support the movement.
That's awesome. That's an awesome search. So if you don't know Elder TJ Watson, go to her page. You can follow her here on social media, and they have a push through. So that is such a great sentiment that we all need to push through. And so let's get to know you a little bit better. My brother Alan, I met him in Houston at New Home with Bishop R.C. Blake's. And so tonight we're all going to get to know him a little bit better and I'm going to get to know him a little bit better as well. Can you share with us a little bit about your upbringing? Where you were from, and did you have any siblings, and how was your upbringing?
Well, it's a humble upbringing. I was, like I said, I was born in New York, in Brooklyn, New York. Uh, at the age of 5, I moved to New Orleans. My mother, she's deceased now, but she was
Mhm,
original. She was born and raised in New Orleans. I have, she had a total of 6 children. I'm the
mhm.
youngest of the 6. I have 2 older brothers, 2 sisters in the middle, and me and my I have a brother right before me, and we just grew up in a humble situation. We was well off as far as was always full. And I say well off, not monetarily, but
Right,
with favor from the Most High, because we never missed a meal. We always had food on the table. We had the support that we needed, but um,
right.
it was a lot of there's a lot of dysfunction as well. Like, so it was a whole, it was a great childhood, and a lot of things you don't basically realize in the moment because
Right.
you're having fun. But I grew up in a sound uh family structure, and God was at the top of the list. So I grew up as a believer. I
That's
grew up
so.
as a believer.
So your mom is a believer. You all went to church often. It sounds like. And so, how did your upbringing impact you as a young man? Now you're growing up. You're in New Orleans. You're God is at the head of your life. How did this upbringing impact your life and the decisions that you made?
Well, coming up, my mom, when she had me, my mom was in her 40s. So my brothers and sisters that I have now, they are actually old enough to be my mom or my dad. So
Oh
I
wow.
grew, I basically grew up with my siblings' children, like my
Okay.
nieces and
Mhm.
nephews, up with them because we're around the same age. You know,
Right.
uh, my oldest niece is maybe 2 years younger than me, so that's
Oh wow.
so I really grew up around them, and it was more of opposed to having like a brother situation and sister situation because of the age disparity. It was
Hmm.
most like I had 3 moms and 3 dads. You know what I'm saying? Because all of them was
Right.
older than me. So basically, and that wound, that began to be way heavy on me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point in my life. But as far
How
as
so? Talk about that a
um,
little more.
well, all right. My mom, when my mom had my other siblings, she was a young lady. She was young. My mom had her first child when she was like 13 or 14. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
today, if she was still here, she'd be in her 90s.
Oh
So,
wow.
so a lot of that with her being young and everything, they really basically didn't have the mother, the nurturer and everything
Right.
because she was a child herself. But
Sure.
her being in her 40s after having me, she was a mother. She was able to nurture. She was able to,
Right.
bring me up with more structure, and that caused a little animosity. You know what I'm saying? With my
Okay.
older siblings, which what looked like favoritism wasn't really favoritism. It was just somebody who matured. She was a
Wow.
mature person now. She wasn't a child. You
That's
know,
good.
when they were born, she was a child trying to raise children. That doesn't work.
Right.
That
Right.
doesn't work. But the blessing was like also with my family, all of my brothers and sisters, they have the same father. I have a different father, so that played a lot as
Mm.
well. And I'm the last
Okay.
one, so
Right.
um, it was a. I always say in a joking way, I come from the most functionally dysfunctional family in America. You know what I'm saying? We grew up with it was a lot of love, but it was a lot of dysfunction as well. You know,
Right.
um, as I go on, as I grew, and I really found my safe place in playing sports. I
Mm.
played sports all throughout
Right.
my childhood, and I also that's where I found comfort, and I found uh, friends and people to talk to that way,
That's
basically.
right. And so that's so good what you said, what looked like favoritism was really maturity, right?
Right,
Sometimes
exactly,
the kids, the kids looking at it as one way, like, oh, you're treating him as a favorite, he's spoiled or whatever. But it's really, now I know how to be a better mother. Now I know how to be a better
exactly,
parent because I'm a little bit older. I have some wisdom behind me, right? And so that's so awesome that you
exactly.
shared that. And now you're finding a safe place in sports. You're making friends outside of your household. So now how's your life going? You're 18 years old, you're about to graduate from high school. What's going on in your life at that time?
All right. At that time, I experienced. It was a lot of fun growing up, but the mentorship, like just
Mm,
having, I didn't have the big brother to go and talk to, to
right,
help me navigate through situations that a young man may go through. As far as my father, which was actually my stepfather, but I never went without, but it
right.
was always a disconnect because, like I said, it was six children, but
Hmm.
the first five was his children. They had a look. This what would we say? I was trying to be funny, but I forgot what Will and Jada said. Entanglement.
An
Yes, they had
entanglement.
an entanglement, and here comes Alan, and here comes
Okay.
Alan.
Mm.
And then so when that
So were
happened,
they so were they jealous of you at that time? So you're saying an entanglement. So was your mom and dad, their mom and dad were no longer together, and your mom married someone else? And so is that what
uh,
how it happened, or
no, she was still they worked it out, and she was together, and he
okay.
just couldn't give me the love and the nurturing that he wanted to, because I could see that he always wanted to, because he the one introduced me to sports. He taught me how to
Oh wow.
he's the person
Hmm.
who taught me how to drive a car. Like, it was everything. But
Yeah.
that relationship, which was kind of dysfunctional, very dysfunctional, he really
Right.
taught me more than I was realizing that he was teaching me. And I didn't
Like
realize that later on until uh I became a
uh,
father.
uh, okay. So talk to us about that. You said he taught you a little bit more, and thank you all so much again for watching. Good evening, Brenda. Good evening, Shanita. Thank you all. Share this out. You all share this out. Thank you all for joining. We're about to get into it. I have my brother Alan Smith on here with me tonight with Evening with the King, and we're going to talk a little bit more about his dysfunctional family and how it taught him to be a better man. So you were saying that it was a little dysfunctional, but you didn't realize until till you became a father yourself that he was actually teaching you some life lessons. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, like I said, I saw a man that was struggling.
Mm,
He was always a man. He was I couldn't have a better example of being a provider. Like we
That's
like I
good.
said, we never missed a meal. We
Right.
always had a roof over our head. We always had we were comfortable. And
Right.
so he taught me that. And as I grew up and I started being in situations where I would meet children or I'll meet someone and they had children, it was the transition and for me accept those children, it was very easy for me because
Right.
it was me. I saw myself in them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
And when you're growing up and you really don't have anyone to talk to and no one to, a confidant or anything like that, as far as somebody who's biologically your family, it gets
Right.
kind of, it could get a certain way. And like I said, although it was a lot of dysfunction, I grew up with a lot of love. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's like I grew up in a house full of alpha females. Like I grew up around dominant women, like
Mhm.
dominant women.
And how
So,
did that impact you as a, growing up as a young man and you're
oh, it impacted me in a negative way
oh,
because
okay.
a lot of times, and a lot of times it made me feel like I had no voice. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like I
Wow.
was always down, and I'm talking about dominant women. I'm talking about not just running them out. I mean, they'll get in and scrap and and everything. So
They bowed it.
it was dominant. It was real
Right.
dominant. But and I grew up with a lot of animosity. And because like I said, I felt I didn't have a voice. I didn't have any, my big brothers were gone. I didn't have anyone to, confide in and
Right.
learn from. So I just felt like, at that time, but it was it's such a contradiction because
Right.
I'm saying all this, but they loved me. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But they
Right.
loved me how they knew how to love. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a word everybody use, but that's a real word because it really
Yeah.
not it's really I don't think people really understand what love is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because the same people that will love you will also be the ones that will like tear your spirit down a lot of times. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? They tear your spirit down like they tear
Mhm.
your confidence down.
Wow.
And at that time, I'm just navigating. I'm just having fun. I'm a young guy. I'm not really worrying about it. It's not, but it didn't impact me until it was my turn to be a father and a mentor. And I
Wow.
fell short a lot of times. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
Right.
and I was you could say almost a chauvinist dude, like
Wow.
chauvinist,
Mhm.
because I just felt bullied. I felt bullied
Wow.
by the women in my family at the time. But
Right.
it's just I come from a matriarchal family, just
Yes.
basically, and I understand that now, opposed to me, I didn't understand that back then. You
Right.
know, I just thought it was
So how did
a bunch of
so how
bullies.
did that play right? How did that play out in your relationships? How did that, being in those matriarchal situations where it's like, these dominant women, you felt a little, and like you said, there was some animosity there. You felt bullied. How did that play out in your relationships after with women in your life personally when you left home and when you moved on with your life?
Um, it caused me to it influenced me because we make our own decisions. So we can't say somebody made me do something, but it
Right.
influenced me. It coming up like that, I was very controlling when I first was introduced to dating young ladies and stuff,
Right.
controlling. I was almost to the point of being manipulative. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Because hurt people hurt other people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was hurt. But at that time,
Mhm.
man, I'm not realizing I'm hurt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because the bad thing about it, we're always told as young boys, you got to be tough, toughen up.
Right.
You can't do this, but it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay. to have feelings because you're
Exactly.
human. You're going to have them. And the more
Right.
you suppress it, and I was a king at suppressing feelings, the more I suppressed them, the more depressed I got.
Wow.
And it really caused problems in my relationships because I was just wanted to be controlling. My
Mhm.
self-esteem was low. So when I
Wow.
lash out at someone else, I learned that I'm really talking to myself
Wow.
because I want you like biblical, definitely the truth. Misery loves company. So
Wow.
when you're feeling miserable, you don't want to be there by yourself, you
Yeah.
know. And that's basically what it was. I was controlling and not no and just didn't know what intimacy was. Like
Right.
had no idea, you know.
And that is so, I love your transparency, you being honest about it. Like you said, you were depressed because you were suppressing. And so you dealt with a little bit of trauma with the depression. When did that finally break for you? Because you said you realized you were depressed, you were controlling, you were being manipulative, and different things like that. So when did that finally break for you? When did breakthrough come for you, realizing you were depressed? Did you get help? Did you go to counseling? How did you work through that?
You know, it really happened uh after relationships, a couple of failed marriages until right before I married my wife. I really realized that I was really needing help and I was really through something. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And
right.
all the time I knew I was a husband.
Hmm.
Let me take that back. I knew I wanted to be a husband. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I wasn't prepared to be a husband. Even though I had been married a couple of times before, I was never prepared to be a husband. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And
right.
I had one day I was feeling low and I just looked at her and I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like what I saw on the other side of the mirror. And
Wow.
because if the average person who's going through something
Mhm.
and they think about it, everybody talks about the enemy. If the average find out who their enemy is, if they wherever there's a mirror in your house, all you need to go is go look in it. And majority of the time, you are your worst enemy. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? And I had that revelation, like of all your failures and relationships,
Wow.
out of everything you want to blame on everybody else, you are the common denominator. You are the
Mm,
one that's in every relationship.
that's
So
true.
now, since when you come into a place of maturity, you stop blaming people and you start holding yourself accountable. And that's what I started doing. I started holding myself accountable. And
Right.
and I
So,
started to see some things.
so what does that look like when you say, so if you wanted to encourage a man that's watching right now and they're feeling the same way you felt, what does that look like by holding yourself accountable? What are some of the things that you did?
In order to change, the first thing you must do is you have to come to an acceptance that you have a problem. Like you have to accept that. And
Right.
in order to change, without acceptance, you can't change. You know what I'm saying? You
Right.
have to accept it. You have to agree that you have a problem. You have to identify something is wrong with me. As far as my mindset or my actions. So when I identified that I was my worst problem, what I started to do is I really like at that time, like most people, it started off. I got in the word real heavy because it gave me comfort and gave me peace.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But as I
Amen.
started to mature, but as I started to mature, uh, the scripture was really revelation on what I need to do
Right.
um, with my life and stop looking at other
Right.
people and really,
Right.
you know, on you because, like I said earlier, I always wanted to be, I always thought and wanted to be a husband, but I wasn't prepared to be a husband. So uh, I had went through a divorce, and some just said I just had a conversation, a just transparent, intimate conversation with the side, and I was like, you know, God, I don't want you to. I'm going to ask you for a wife or anything no more. All I want you to do is prepare me to where when you do send someone, I do find someone, I want to add to their life. I don't want to just be someone who comes in their life and we do it. I want to add to their life. I want to be the one that makes their life better. I want to be an upgrade. I don't just want a wife
Amen.
just for having a wife, and I
Right.
think a lot of men want to want a wife, but they're not a husband yet.
That's
You know what I'm
good.
saying? You can't be a man looking for a wife. You have to be a husband looking for a wife.
That's
And
good.
until I got to that point to where I was husband, um, I wasn't, it didn't nothing but I saw so much. The reason why I know everything was working for my good is because the way I handled situations was totally opposite of what I used to do. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I saw the maturity and I saw the growth. And it was only by the grace of God that
Yeah.
I even came into the understanding, the mindset that it was he had something better for me.
Right. And that is so good what you just said. You said you had to be a husband. You asked God to prepare you. You just didn't want another relationship. You wanted to be a husband. I know you said you noticed that
Yeah.
things were different, the way you responded. Give us an example of how you matured and how you grew up to prepare yourself for the wife that you have today.
Um. hmm,
And she's on here. Hey, Simone.
Well, God started doing something. See what the Most High, and I'm saying God, but I usually like when I say God. He works with His people from the inside out. So I started understanding. I started understanding on the inside my heart. I became more compassionate. I
Mm,
started to really learn how to love. I started to learn how to be empathetic. I started to learn how to cry. So when situations up to where I'll be judgmental or I'll be harsh, in the moment I wasn't doing it, but I didn't really realize it. And
right.
I just told my wife this not too long ago. Um, the reason why I had problems in marriage was because that I didn't like as a child, I gravitated to when I wanted a woman.
Mm,
I wind
yeah.
up marrying controlling women. This,
Yeah.
the very thing that I couldn't stand and I thought I
Right.
hated, it
Right.
was my comfort place. It was my comfort. It
Wow.
was my comfortable place. It was my safe place.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
everything I didn't like about my family structure with the women that attracted, I
Wow.
was attracted to it. And that's
Mm.
why I say to the not so much that I was doing bad things all the time. It was just that mindset. If you want to change, but why you keep going back to the same situation? And
Wow.
I just realized that, like I said, with my wife, like when we first got married during our first
Uh-huh.
year, like, you know
Mhm.
what? I'm really attracted to my mother and the women in my family. And what's so great about my wife, Simone, I love much. She is totally opposite. You know, she is, she is totally opposite from me. She's totally opposite from the women in my family. And I'm not down talking anybody in my
Right,
family,
right.
but,
Mhm.
but she was totally opposite. And I always like to say she's my compatible opposite. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
that's
saying? Because
good. Mhm.
we are totally we are totally opposite, but we share the same principles. People
Mm,
want to get with people like, well, you have to be with somebody who, well,
right.
if you, once you get past the equally yoked with, you have the same spiritual beliefs and that, you know, two of the same people can't go through problems that they never been through. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because they only know how to handle it one way. With me and my
Right.
wife, she adds so much to me. My wife adds uh she gives me a lot of wisdom, and she's a very loving person. And
Mhm.
she really was what you know, I always wanted what I wanted, but this time around I accepted what I needed. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
good.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of people in life, we are so focused on what we want, and when that person comes along in our life that we actually need,
That's good.
they not our flavor. They not, you know. And my wife was someone totally opposite that I would have been attracted to, because she, and it's so funny about that because the way we met, uh, it wasn't traditional.
Uh-huh.
We met online. Me and my wife met online. It wasn't
That's
traditional at all. We met
right.
online, and she reached out to me. But
Wow.
when she reached out, I said hello. You know, just the normal thing. But
Right.
I never called. She gave me a number, but I never called her
Right.
because I'm telling you, when it's something the Holy Spirit told me, do not mess with my child if you are not ready, because I
Come
have something
on.
for her to do. And I
Wow.
clearly heard, me and you were talking right now. I heard
Wow.
the Most High say, "Do not mess with my child because I have her on assignment. And if you mess that up, if you don't want that, you know." And I heard it, so I didn't call her. I didn't
Right.
call her for about a month. I
Wow.
didn't call her for a month. Like she kept reaching out. I wasn't answering her back or nothing because I heard what I heard, and I know I
Right.
heard it. It wasn't nothing, you know, and I wasn't going to play with that. And my mind, I was in a different mindset because I really wanted to be a better person. I was on a road
Right.
to being a better person. I was under construction, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And my whole mind, my whole mindset changed. And I'm telling you, from the moment I called her, it. I know, like we always say, we are purpose mates. It was purpose.
Wow.
It was purpose. It was purpose, and she's added so much to me, and you know, the Most High gave her to me to really for her to be example of His love. But she's
That's so
truly a
awesome.
loving person. She's
That
truly
is,
what I needed when I needed it. You know, she's an
yeah.
awesome guy.
That is such a blessing. What an awesome thing to hear from your husband saying that. What would you tell men that are have been married before, right? You've been married before and you're just kind of apprehensive about marrying again because of some of the things they've experienced. What would you recommend to them? What would you share with them on tonight?
Well, what I would say is make sure you have done. Like you get everything you need to be. You become a husband. Because, like I say, a lot of times we just want a wife. We're not prepared.
Mm,
I don't care how
right,
financially stable you are or anything like that. You
right.
have to be, because you have to know what a provider is. Provider is not a check. You know, you have to know what a
Come on.
protector is. Protector is fighting someone. You know, when you're a provider, you have to provide a covering for your wife. You know, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
Because
Yeah.
you know, when you're a man, if you're a real man, you better be stable. You know what I'm saying? Or in the process of trying to make that happen. That's just called, you know, that's self-preservation right there. You know what I'm saying? So that's the easy part of protecting and providing. You know, but when your wife is going through a tough time, do you know how to be nurturing? Do you know how to edify her? Do you know, you know, just those things.
Come
So I
on.
would tell a man
Yeah.
really work on what because the word in scripture always commands us to love our wives. that's the hardest thing for a man to do is truly learn how to love, you know,
Wow.
because we are very physical creatures, you know. Women look at love as intimacy, you know,
Right.
walks in the park. Men, let's just keep it real. Men, we
Yeah.
sexual, like sex.
Right.
That's how you show me you love me.
Right.
And it's not only a natural thing. That's what's been embedded in our mind through this perverted media,
Right.
all
Right.
these verbs and all these things. And we that's why the Bible focuses on man love your wives. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And when you got to learn how to love because it's a real hard task to do when you can't even love yourself. First, you got to
Wow.
love yourself first.
Wow.
And a lot of us are dealing with a lot of us when we get married, we're dealing with a lot of trauma from childhood
Right.
or pre-adulthood, like our adolescent years. Like we're
Yeah.
dealing with a lot of dysfunction we haven't dealt with yet. You know, it's suppressed. And one thing marriage does, it takes all the cover off. Like you could be with somebody for 10 years. You could be with somebody for 10 years. As soon as you make the commitment to be married, boy, stuff starts falling out of everywhere. I
Right.
mean, are exposed. I say how you can the camera. You are exposed. Like
Right.
all your dirt, all your little bad habits, you know, it's over. You got to come
It's
clean.
over.
But marriage makes you come clean, and that's the part
That's good.
about me being married to my wife now. We were very transparent with each other, and my wife is very transparent. You know, and another
Yeah.
thing I would say to men to always understand that because a lot of men use it. A lot of men use it as a tool of manipulation when they always
Mm.
talk about submission. When the Bible talks about women submitting to their husbands,
Right.
men, if you really understand Scripture and you really understand what goes on, and you really do understand, submission is a woman's superpower because she chooses to submit.
Come
You know,
on.
she chooses. So really, that's one of the most ultimate things a woman can show you that she loves you because she's not doing
That's
it because
it.
she has to do it. She's not doing it because
Right.
she. I mean, even though our command free will, he still give us free will. We can go either way we want
Right.
to go. But guess what? When a woman submits, that's our ultimate expression of love for a man. Like for real.
That's
That
awesome.
and men need to take it as a blessing opposed to taking that as uh like some machismo, like she gonna listen to
Right.
me and being manipulative,
Right.
and I think we just have to, as men, we just have to we have to unlearn a lot of things we learned coming up as boys
Hmm.
because we were given some bad information.
Unlearn like what?
We just the I'm 52, so I come up in an age where your grandfathers or dads, because my dad would be in his late 90s to 100, like if he's still living, like long as you take home, long as I pay these bills, don't worry about what I'm doing after that. You know what I'm
Oh
saying? That's
wow.
that's the
Mhm.
era I come up in.
Right.
That's the era I come up in. Dad was a good man. Dad made sure we had this and all that. But
Right.
dad showed, me Mary over on the other side of town. She was cool too. Everything in the house
Hmm.
was straight too. So,
Right.
like I tell my wife, we have to learn committed to something. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And when you get married, marriage is all about a commitment. You know what I'm saying? And
Amen.
my wife understands what I mean now because I told my wife is that, if you're a true believer in the Most High,
Right.
I love my wife with all my heart and all the power y'all gave me to love her. But
Yeah.
I'm more committed to my marriage than to the person. Yeah, and
Mm.
I made a commitment to the Most High. So I failed at marriage already because it was a lack of commitment. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So at the end of the day, you have to be committed because you can love that person all you want. That person,
Right.
some of these days or one day, you're not going to love them that day. You know, you're not going to love them that day. They're going to get on your
Right.
nerves. You're not going to want to be with them. You're
Right.
not going to want to be
Right.
married anymore. You're going to want to be single. You're going to see this woman or you're going to see this man and be like, ooh, you know, like that. And guess what? If you're not committed to
Mm,
your marriage, just the
that's
institution
good.
of marriage, you can use
That's
any
good.
excuse to stray away from it. And like I tell my wife, I am committed to my marriage. So I am not, for me to be faithful, for me to do my job,
Right.
don't need reciprocation. You know what I'm saying? I don't need reciprocation. She don't have to reciprocate love back to me for me to be the man I'm supposed to be. But it helps.
Wow.
It makes me feel better. But it's not performance based. You know, my love for her is not performance based. She don't have to be her best self for me to love her the way I'm
That's
supposed
good.
to.
Mm,
And it's vice versa. I don't have to be the best version of me for her to love me the way she is because it's not a
right.
performance based situation, you know,
Right.
because we're not going to perform at highest level all the time.
That's
You know,
good.
I just want to be consistent. I just want to be consistent, and and that's what I would tell men. Just be consistent, be real with yourself because if you're real with
That's
yourself, you're
good.
not going to be real with anyone else, especially your woman. You know, and cut all
It's not
ties off
performance
with
based.
your exes and all that. Cut all that out because I used to be the man who was terrified. I was a slave to my cell phone. You know what I'm saying? Because most men man, I leave my phone around. My wife goes through it. Don't matter, and she don't even go through it to
Yeah.
be looking for anything. But
Right.
it's just a sense of freedom. Like I'm totally
Right.
free now.
That's
Like
good.
and marriage is the best relationship that a man and woman could ever be a part of.
That's
I
it.
mean, to have someone to go through this journey of life with you, to help you navigate through it, to be a help. Like I always say, they say a help me. My wife is helping me meet my purpose. You know what
That's
I'm
good.
saying? She's helping
Right.
me meet my purpose, and she's to me, she's the epitome of helpmate. Help me. Like she's helped me change and see
Right.
so many things that I am so grateful to the Most High. Like I
Right.
am like if he never gave me a gift in life, he gave me his most precious gift in my wife. And I ain't trying to
Oh,
pub her up
that's
like that, but I
that's awesome. What a blessing. Just a blessing to know that, like you said, you've been married before, you've had these experiences before,
uh-huh.
but to know now that you are prepared, you are now a husband, you're prepared, and now you're able to receive her and honor her as the gift that she is and as the because she's the prize, right? She is the
Right,
gift. So that's so
right.
awesome that you're able to recognize that now and treat her as such. I know you had mentioned before about, and I wanted to kind of address that a little bit. You mentioned about men cutting off all ties with other women. I mean, do you feel like men in relationships or in marriages can have female friends, or what does that mean, or what do you think that should look like for a married man?
Well, you know who your friends are and you know who your interests are. You know what I'm saying? When they cut off ties, so a lot of people, I mean, if you've been married before or you was in a long relationship, you know, the reality of life is a lot of people have sex. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And when
Right,
you're and when you're having sex, that is a soul tie. That is a
right,
soul tie. You are tied to that person. You know,
right,
a part of you is a part of that person. A part of that person is a part of you until you go through your due diligence to, to really, rid yourself of those ties. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And now, and it's just certain things men shouldn't entertain. Like you could
right.
have a good friend. Of course, I have one of them was on here. I saw one of my friends. Me and her. My that's like my best friend. She's a woman, but
Hmm.
everything is in order. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? You
Right.
have to have some kind of structure. You know certain ways you're gonna talk to your friend. No, even if you
Yeah.
could tell your friend anything that happens, it's still a structure to it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When things are not right and things don't fit right in your spirit, it's not right.
Right.
You know, and I just say you don't entertain things that you know you shouldn't be entertaining. Like if you're
Right.
talking to somebody and they're insinuating things or being flirtatious,
Mhm.
you know, it's time to back up a little bit, you know,
Right.
or completely in the like once you address it, it still
Right.
happens, you know, because I'm gonna tell you now, anything you let enter your mind, you got to cast all those things off. So
Right.
if if it comes in your mind, you got to cast it off.
That's it.
So if you don't cast it off, you start entertaining those thoughts. Eventually, you're gonna succumb to those thoughts. Like I mean, 90% of the time. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
If you constantly entertaining something, that means you like what you entertaining. You really you have a desire to do that. You know what I'm saying? So and
Hmm.
if you don't cast it off, you're gonna eventually fall victim to it.
Right.
You know,
Wow.
like
That's so
I
good. I
said,
have,
it's in the mirror.
right. As a married man now, and you chose Simone to be your wife. What advice can you give the women on here tonight? They want to be married. How can they prepare? Because you're a man. You can kind of give them up the man's perspective. When they're trying to prepare themselves to be a wife. What are men looking for? In order to have a healthy relationship, especially when you've gone through the trauma and you know that you're ready to be the husband that God wants you to be.
I mean, for me, I would tell a woman basically, uh, first of all, if she wants to be married, she has to transcend from being a woman into being a wife first. Because you're talking about marriage. Marriage is not simply man and woman; it's husband and wife. So
Right.
if you're not, if like until you become a wife, until you become a husband, you're not qualified. First of all, you're not even qualified, and
Wow.
and 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 it's really the reverse of what I said about a man. Like
Right.
like a woman. Uh, these days, the submission, using the word submit and submission is a curse word. It's
Right.
like it's like calling
Right.
somebody out their name. When you tell a
Right.
woman to be submissive or submit,
Right.
you know, until you get to that point to where you have enough confidence, you have enough love for yourself to understand that your submission is really your power and not your
Wow.
weakness.
Yeah.
You're not ready to be a wife. You're not ready to be a wife
Right.
because just in my situation with certain things I have to deal with, like when you get married, my youngest child uh was from another relationship, right? So I had things with issues with uh my baby mother, right? Just the way my wife explained to me and tried to navigate and guide me through of how to handle the situation, I started feeling like, oh, here we go again. She wants to be manipulative. I started getting, see, that's when you still have trauma that you haven't dealt with.
Right. Right.
And even though, and that's another thing, even though you think you have been delivered from certain things, there's always a little residue left. You still have a little
Mm.
residue left. Like,
Wow.
like a little
Yeah.
piece, a little crumble still there, a
Right.
little piece of that
Right.
you recognize and you could toss them out because it's
Right.
not the whole thing no
Mm-hmm.
more. You can just toss. So when she trying to tell me, my flesh would not let me listen to my wife. It would not
Wow.
let me listen to my wife. And she was giving me sound information. And the reason why I know she
Right.
was giving me sound information, I started actually applying what she recommended me and what she counseled me to
Right.
do. And when she did it, my whole situation is much better. It's not dysfunctional anymore.
Wow.
And the way I situation every because you have to, and like as men, you
Right.
have to learn how to listen to your wife too. Sometimes you gotta learn how to listen because
Yeah.
she's not there. She you have to let her do her job. Her job is a help
Right.
me. So
Right.
how can she do her job if you're not listening? If you're not,
Right.
you're not really appreciating what she's telling you and applying
Right.
it. But here you go outside and you listen to something on a radio
Hmm.
show or something like that, and now you have
Right.
revelation and you want to do everything they said. But here your wife giving you, I mean, wisdom. She dropping
Right.
nuggets. She giving you wisdom.
Knowledge. Right.
How's she feeling? How's she
Right.
feeling? Like you can listen to everybody
Right.
but me. Soon as I
Right.
understood, I mean, a lot of things she has taught me. I'm older than her. I'm like 9 years older than her, and she has so much wisdom. She teaches me a
That's
lot. I
awesome.
teach her, um, and this is truly purpose. And that's another thing
Amen.
I would say of a man and a woman looking to be married. You have to identify that there's purpose there, not just because
Wow.
it's always purpose when you marry, like, but it got to go
Right.
beyond. It got to go beyond the surface of all right, we married now, we in purpose because you
Right.
marry into purpose,
Right.
but
Right.
you have to have a purpose. You guys have to be your souls have to be intertwined in this realm some way. You got to like
Right.
my I was looking for a physical person, but the Most High sends you like people when they say some. First of all, when you get a wife or a husband, it's a spiritual connection.
Right.
It's it, that's the ones that work. The spiritual
Right. The spiritual
God
connection.
God make like spirits, and when those
Hmm.
spirits come together, that's when there's harmony. That's when there's peace. Even though you're always going
Right.
to have some confusion come along, but when you marry when you marry a person or get in a relationship with a person, your spirits
Wow.
are just not compatible. You know what I'm saying? See,
Yeah.
with my wife, our spirits are compatible, but a lot of our methods are totally opposite of how we do things, you know.
Right.
And
Hmm.
in the spirit, we I knew her somewhere before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta be in it to understand it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
But just because the spirit, not a person, how they look. You
Right.
know.
And that's so refreshing to hear a man say that it's not just always about the looks, that you, like you said, there's a spiritual connection there. And now that you're married and you
Mhm.
have a this amazing marriage, you have a wife that you know you can cherish and value. She's the epitome of a helpmeet. Can help you to realize your purpose. What's the best thing about being married this time?
Like I said, for me, like right now, I almost was in tears the other day because like when I first got my surgery on my leg, right? I mean, I really needed help. I couldn't do anything. And I just was
Yeah.
in tears almost like because I was thankful to the Most High. You gave me a true help. Man, my wife has been there every step. And then I just had that moment of a reflection and I was like, man, what if I didn't have her? What if I was acting by myself and I had to,
Right.
we
Right.
live in we live in a two-story home. I couldn't get down the steps. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I needed
Right.
her to attend to me. I'm like, it's man, like she is awesome. Like just that. And it's the small
Wow.
things. Like,
Right.
people might think, but when you haven't been in those situations before and those
Right.
relationships, it's just I just had to give them thanks, like because it was awesome. Like it's such a me, and I don't know. I just it's just that I just know I'm living in like the scripture say, um, a man that finds a wife finds it a good thing. But the best part about it,
Yeah.
he obtained favor. That's the part right
Right.
there people miss
Right.
slightly. He obtained a favor, and I've been
Obtain
living under
favor.
favor ever since I met this woman. I've been living under
Amen.
favor ever since I met this woman.
Amen.
Period. We
Period.
just a short story. Just a short story. We going out one weekend, right? We were dating
Uh-huh.
at the time. We going out one weekend. We ain't have nothing to do. Me and my wife, we just do anything. Like we'll go to the park and just have fun like that. So we went out. We went in Pearland because we live in Pearland, and we just went. Hey, you know what, babe? Let's go to a house. Let's go to some open houses and look at a house. Had no intention on buying a house or anything. This was a future goal or something.
Right.
Man, we went in there.
Mm-hmm.
The guy told me, now, granted, I've been going around previously trying to get cars, trying to get everything. I can't get nothing, right? I started talking to
Wow.
my wife. I started talking to my wife, and this is why we was dating. So I got approved for a car, low down payment, great interest rate, great monthly
Wow.
payment. Right. But then, all right, I didn't pay attention to that. We dating. I mean, that's all me in my mind. That's all me. But at the time,
Right.
I'm not knowing. I'm not knowing that I found a wife, even though we're not married yet. I found a wife. So
Right.
so when we go out to the house, we just looking at it, the guy talking about it. So we about to leave. He said, hold on. You don't want to fill out the
Wow.
paperwork? Like, nah, man, I ain't gonna get it anyway. No, I'm not gonna fill it out. So he said, come on, man, it's worth to try. So I tried
Mm.
and I got things and everything. And all during the process, they going through the process. I was very detached from the process because I just knew I wasn't gonna get it. And now
Yeah.
we've been living in this house going on 2 years now. And
Wow. Look at God.
I didn't even, that's nothing but God. It's nothing but
Right.
God. So
The favor.
it's
If
nothing but
if there's
favor. And
some
like
men
I
on
say,
here,
like,
if there's some men on here, y'all hear this story, this testimony that you will have favor with your wife, and that guess what, women, you are the prize, right? You are the prize. You are a blessing to your husband. You're the helpmeet. Wow, such a blessing, such a beautiful story of love and just like you said, empathy and just joy together. And gives people that want to be married hope that, you know what, if it happened for them, it can happen for me. So I love this story. And I wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit and talk to you about
all right,
leadership because as a king, you're a leader, and I know with everything that's going on right now in the world with young men getting gunned down and killed, and I know now you have two sons. What how has this impacted you, and how has that made you want to maybe do some things differently to help in your own community or in your family?
well, basically, it helps you like 20. Uh, we're in 2021 now, but 2020 was really a year of revelation.
Yeah.
Like in 2021, this is going to be the year of manifestation. That's why you see a lot of people being exposed now. You've seen a
Right.
lot of, phonies and frauds coming out. Uh,
Right.
if you want to be a true leader, you have to be a servant. That's what leadership is. You have
Right.
to be a servant. You have to be, one thing we don't do in the community as elder black men is really mentor and teach our
Right.
children and the young men that we
Right.
are around, and we teach them with love. A lot of
Right.
times we talk down. A lot of times we talk down on the younger generation. Oh, you guys don't know this. Y'all don't know this. I
Right.
like, duh. They don't supposed to know. That's why we here. We here to teach.
Right.
But more than words coming out of our mouth, more than words coming out of our mouth, we have to be examples. They need a
Right.
blueprint. They need to see it. See, that's the
Right.
type of young man I was growing up. You could talk to me all day. I got my own mind.
Yeah.
I got my own beliefs. But if I see you actually doing what you're telling me to do, I'm gonna think
Wow.
about it now because I'm like, he's
Yeah.
serious. He's serious about it. And
Right.
as far as a lot of the police shootings and everything, like you have to realize that until we are economically at a point where we have power, like we use our dollars,
Right. Right.
like instead of watching real Housewives of Atlanta,
Right.
we need to be
Mm-hmm.
watching Bougie Girl. You know what I'm saying? We need to be
Right.
watching podcast Bougie Girl and things like
Right.
that to let people to get information and empower ourselves. You
Right.
know,
Amen.
we are so distracted. We need to stop being distracted, and
Mm.
we're distracted, and a lot of us are worrying about the things we don't like about the younger
Wow.
generation,
Right.
opposed to things about the younger generation that we can help them navigate through these trying times, because these are times where a man is really being hunted. I mean,
Right.
like young black men are really being hunted, and
Right.
it's I mean, no disrespect, you know,
Right.
protesting served the purpose back in those times. But just like
Right.
biblical times, always generational changes. Every generation brings about a
Right.
change. That's not
Right.
that's not the method that's going to be effective right now. What's going on? I mean,
Right.
I'm not going I'm not going to knock or talk down on anybody who's doing it, because what they're
Right.
taking their time out. They're trying to do
Right.
something. So we got to applaud those people. We have to applaud those
Right.
people. But voting,
Yeah.
voting and all these other things, we have to. Our
Yeah.
the Asian community, you can't do them like that because they have a financial economic impact on society.
Right.
They got cash flow going through. So until we empower our children, until we start
That's good.
trades back in schools, like teaching people how to work with their hands
Right.
and
Right.
things like that. Everybody's not going to be a doctor. Everybody's not going to be a lawyer. Everybody's
Right.
not going to be an engineer. You know what I'm
That's true.
saying? Use the
Right.
gifts that Most High has given you. If you're a carpenter, be a carpenter. Don't try to be a doctor. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Right.
if you really look at prominent black men in America that's making money, that's people with trades. That's like a plumber, a mechanic. They millionaires. You
Right.
know, they millionaires. But here you going to school to be a doctor, and you really don't even want to be a doctor. Your mom wants you to be a doctor,
Right.
or somebody in
Exactly.
your family wants you to be a doctor. You know, so we
Exactly.
have to really refocus. We have to refocus our attention, really pay attention to
Mhm.
our children and see what their gifts are, and try to help them to use those gifts. I'm
That's
not
so
going to
true.
discourage I'm not going to discourage my child. If she says she wants to be a doctor, I'm gonna go with
Yeah.
it. You know?
Yeah.
But if I see her drawing all the time and she's making designs up and
Right.
making dresses and stuff like that, I'm gonna say, babe, you don't
Right.
think like you need to pay attention to it? Because a lot of people,
Exactly.
especially a lot of people who want to be entrepreneurs, they treat their gifts like it's a side, like it's a side job. You
Right.
know, they give so much time to the 9 to 5 to where they truly gifted at, to where their true calling is. You treat it like it's a side job, and it never
Right.
develops and it never grows because you don't give it enough
Right.
attention.
Right. That is so good.
You
Thank you so much for that wisdom. I appreciate that. And before we wrap up this conversation, I hope you all are enjoying this honest and transparent conversation with my brother, Alan Smith. He has given us some wisdom and some knowledge, just helping us to be better people, giving us some transparent, just real life stories about his upbringing and being a married man now. But I also want to, segue into something that the platform is doing. If you are enjoying this, we have a conference coming up as well in May that you would love as well, because again, we're using this platform to empower, to encourage, and to uplift women and men to help them to be better people, just like the conversation that we're having on tonight. So we're going to just have a quick little commercial break before we wrap up our conversation with Mr. Alan Smith, and we'll be right back. So enjoy this commercial break. I Am Bougie presents From Broken to Bougie Virtual Encounter, a life-changing virtual conference happening May 21st through May 22nd. So you ask, what is Bougie? Bougie is being bold, one of a kind, unbothered, God's girl, intentional, and elegant. This is a journey of healing, deliverance, and empowerment. Conference host and speaker Miranda Chenault will be joined by change agents in the kingdom to be a part of this groundbreaking event. Night 1 in the King's Forum will be the prolific Pastor Deatrius D. Lewis, visionary author and pastor of Unity Worship Center Shreveport and Unity Church Dallas, along with the dynamic R.C. Blakes Jr., creator of Queen.ology and pastor of New Home Worship Center in Houston and New Orleans. Day 2 will include our Ladies Lounge speakers, Minister Shayna Rattler, creator of The God Shift, author and entrepreneur, along with the breakthrough strategist, Lakeisha Dixon, author, speaker, and coach. Ladies, you do not want to miss this dynamic two-day event. Go to Eventbrite today and register. Search Broken to Bougie. It will be phenomenal. So if you all have not registered for this conference, again, it's in connection with this platform and in line with what we're doing here to uplift and inspire and encourage, just like the conversation we're having on tonight. So go to Eventbrite and register today. You don't want to miss it. It's only $25 for 2 days. It will be life-changing. So I want to encourage you all to go and register. The information is also in the description as well. So go and register, you all, on tonight. But as we wrap up this conversation, I want to again tell you, thank you, man of God, for accepting the invitation, for being a part of this platform, this movement that God has given me. And I'm super grateful for just your transparency. This has been a great conversation. So thank you again.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite. And from that little commercial you just had, shoot, I want to sign up.
Well, please do. Please do. It's going to be a blessing. Tell people about it.
From Broken to Bougie. Love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. And if you are just new to this platform or you're just now joining us or you don't know what Bougie means, Bougie is an acronym and it means bold, one of a kind, unbothered, God's girl, intentional, and elegant. So this is a place of where we all are bougie. God told us that we're bold, right? We're bold people. We're stepping out bold as a lion. We're one of a kind, just like you, Alan. You're original. Your designer's original. I'm original. I'm one of a kind. There's nobody like us on this earth. We are to be unbothered by what people say about us, because people are going to say what they're going to say. So we are to be unbothered. The only person that matters is God. We are God's children. We are God's guy, God's girl. We are intentional about what we do and say, just like when you were saying, preparing to be a husband, you were intentional, right? God wants us to be intentional, right. And we are elegant. Men can be elegant too. It's all about class and how you present yourself with confidence. So you are officially a part of the Bougie Squad, Alan. Thank you so much for being here. And, this is the platform that God has given me. And this mandate of having men come on with Evening with the King to share your perspective. So I really appreciate that.
And I really appreciate it because it's a much needed thing. And I really appreciate it. I really do. And I think a lot of men, once it gets out, they're going to be appreciated too, because right now in society, we're almost invisible.
Yeah. And, we want to, I'm a mother of 2 boys, 2 young men. And so, hearing the heart of a man is so important, especially in our community. So I want to celebrate the kings in our lives, and you are a king in our community. And I just want to celebrate you and thank you for your transparent story. But I want to ask you, what keeps you humble?
Really what keeps me humble is just I'm watching God do so many amazing things in my life. And it's not just my mindset, like just certain things, like the changes he's making on the inside. I'm just so thankful because I'm empathetic, and I see a lot of people out here are hurting. A lot of people need help. They don't have a voice, and they just need people to listen. They don't need people to judge them and everything. And I'm just thankful and what God is surrounding me around, the people.
Right.
I'm just humbled. Because I'm not deserving. Like, I'm not, we might think we all, but we not really deserving. And it humbles me a lot. It humbles me a lot. So that's basically what humbles me. Just as I open my eyes, my spiritual eyes.
Right.
God is he's doing a new thing, and it's great.
Amen. So, what would you go back and tell your 17 and 18-year-old self? You were this young man who felt, you know, you felt like you didn't have a mentor, you didn't have anyone to go to, you didn't have anyone to lean on. You were surrounded by these domineering women, and you had a little bit of, frustration. What would you go back and tell this young man?
Um, that is all for a reason. It's all for your good.
Yeah.
Um, and you really need to the the one you need to be talking to, and you shouldn't be worrying about a lot of people. You should build your relationship. At that time, I basically had no intimate personal relationship with the Most High. I would
Hmm.
tell myself to be start a relationship, build a relationship, and start listening. And I
Right.
always was a seeker of knowledge, but don't just get the knowledge, apply it.
Hmm. That's so good. That's so good. And the last question I want to ask you, what makes you a king on tonight? You've talked about how you've grown and just become a better person for all the experiences that you've gone through. But my definition of a king and the acronym, because I like acronyms, is kind, intelligent, noble, and grateful. So what makes you a king on tonight?
Uh, I'm a king. I'm a king because I realize now I have purpose. A king has purpose.
Amen.
Uh, um, I'm a warrior king. I want to fight for my people. I want to fight for my family. And,
Yeah.
and a warrior's true goal is peace. Any warrior's true
Mhm.
goal is peace. He's looking for peace. He's looking for peace within
Right.
his home, within his community.
Right.
And that's what a king does. A king sacrifices his things that he wants for the better of the community, the better of his house. We all have our own little tribes. I'm the
Right.
king of my tribe, and I just want to teach the young men that are in my house now, the young women, I give them an
Yes.
example of what to expect from a king, and I show the boys how to be men and how to become kings. So it's all about service with me. You got to be a servant. That's what a
Right.
true king is. A true king is a servant. He's not somebody who gives out orders.
Right. Right. That's it. And do you have any last words of wisdom or encouragement that you want to share? I hope everybody can hear us because I know Joe said it was frozen. So I hope if everybody can put in a one or uh, give us some hearts to let us know that you can hear us before we end the conversation. Can you all hear us? Because I know someone said it was frozen. So I just want to make sure everybody can hear us before we wrap this up. So I believe they can hear us. So, Alan, if you can just any words of wisdom that you would like to leave with the audience on tonight. Thank you.
Well, I think everyone and your personal, we all different. We all different.
Mhm.
But I really think we need to start changing our mindsets, start really taking in information, like they say, chew the meat and spit out the bones. What's good and
Mhm.
productive for you, keep it.
Right,
Things that are
right,
not are not good for your spirit, reject it.
right,
The Holy Spirit gave me this today, and this is what I would leave everybody with.
right.
Your outlook determines your outcome.
Amen.
Because it's the way you look at something is how you're going to work it out. So your
Right.
outlook determines your outcome.
Determines your
We have to start
outcome.
looking at things differently. Right.
Right. That's so awesome. Well, thank you, Sir King. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. Don't leave. I'm going to just wrap this up with the audience. Don't log off yet. Thank you all so much. I hope you all enjoyed that conversation with our brother Alan Smith. And if you enjoy any part of this conversation, if you want to support what we're doing, the vision, the PayPal is at the bottom. It's paypal.me/I'm Bougie Girl or Cash App $ I'm Bougie Girl. And also, if you want to register for the conference, please go to Eventbrite and type in From Broken to Bougie. Also, we have Bougie gear. This is one of the Bougie shirts. I hope you can see it. It says I'm Bougie. So go to our Teespring store and purchase a King t-shirt, a King sweatshirt. purchase a Bougie Girl shirt, go to our Teespring store and type in Bougie Girl, and our store will come up all the t-shirts, all the designs that we have. We have masks and mugs and all that, and all these amazing things. And again, if you want to attend that virtual encounter, please go to Eventbrite and type in From Broken to Bougie. Thank you all so much for joining us on tonight. It was such a blessing. That conversation was amazing. To God be the glory for the transformation and the king that Alan is today, and his beautiful wife, Simone. Thank you so much for recommending your husband to this platform. And if you want to be a guest on Evening with the King, if there's any men out there, if you have a brother, a husband, a pastor, please inbox me. Please let me know. I would love to have them on. We're going to do it once a month. We're going to get the man's perspective. Again, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation, Alan. Thank you for just being a part of this platform. You all have a blessed weekend. Stay encouraged, and I will be back on Monday for Motivational Monday. Have a blessed weekend, everyone. Be encouraged.